Today I'm reviewing a book that you guys almost voted for. Hi guys, my name is Joe and welcome to Fighting Words, the martial arts library. On this channel I review martial arts books and talk about other martial arts related subjects. Today I'm reviewing a book called The Fighting Weapons of Korean Martial Arts. The authors are Hyuk Suh and Jane Hallander. It was originally published in 1988. My copy came out in 2022. About the authors, Jane Hallander is an author that I've addressed on here before. Her primary martial arts background included Tai Chi and Choi Lei Fut, but she was a prolific author when it came to martial arts, including magazine articles as well as books. And Hyuk Suh is the founder of Kuksul Wan, and he studied many different martial arts from a young age. The first chapter is on the history of the Korean Peninsula and how that applies to martial arts. The authors refer to three specific influences over the development of Korean martial arts. Those are Sado Musul, which are tribal Korean martial arts practiced by the populace, Bilkyo Musul, which are arts that were brought in by Buddhist monks, and the third is Kungjung Musul, which were arts that were practiced by the upper class in the palace. The history that's covered in this section is everything from sort of the legendary ancient history of Korea until the period just after the Second World War. Chapter 2 is on the Sado Musul sword. So this is the sword techniques used by the general populace. It goes over the history and construction of the sword. In addition, it goes over the training techniques that would have been used, as well as some of the basic fighting techniques utilizing the sword. This is mostly in text form with a few photographic illustrations. Chapter 3 is the Sado Musul staff, and as in the previous chapter, we get a bit of the history and usage of the stick as it was used in Korea. We're talking many different lengths of sticks that are being covered here. The author goes over how various kingdoms had their signature methods of utilizing stick and staff techniques. And we get some of the fundamental strikes that are used with the staff in Korean martial arts. Chapter 4 is on the weapons of Bilkyo Musul. So the martial arts practiced by the Buddhist monks. The book notes multiple times, although I haven't had the chance to fact check this yet, the monks in the Korean kingdoms were the only ones who were allowed to have weapons and form their own militias. This doesn't really ring true. I know that the Shaolin Temple did have its own militia force, and that's sort of where it had its staff fighting reputation from. While this chapter does mention various weapons like archery and like the staff, the focus is on the crooked walking stick. That gets a lot of play in this chapter, and its usage is covered as well as the benefits of having something that perhaps didn't look like a weapon. Chapter 5 is on the weapons of Kungjung Musul, so those used by the upper class. Most of what it focuses on here are pole arms. It goes over the spear as well as the trident, and also a long-handled sword that we might describe as a halberd. Chapter 6 on the royal court weapons really focuses on things that were easy to conceal. The cane gets mentioned again, as well as the use of rope, the use of the fan, which could be modified in order to have cutting edges to it, and dual short swords that could be hidden up the long flowing sleeves of the courtesans. The final two chapters are a sword form and a staff form. One thing that stood out to me about the sword form, there were a lot of spinning movements in it. There were also some movements that I questioned the practicality of. There was one in particular where you were standing on one foot and let the end of your sword touch the other foot, and you sort of use that foot to kick the sword at somebody. That's a little bit weird. The staff form included a lot of figure 8 movements in it. That was one of the things that stood out about that. As I mentioned in the cold open, you guys almost voted for this. Several months ago, I put this up for a vote alongside several other books, and this one was like neck and neck with the Bowie knife fighting book, which edged it out just by like one comment vote. But because you guys showed so much interest in this, couldn't help but do it, right? Now, I should say that for the rest of the book, the copy I have is a reprint from I&I Sports, and I appreciate that they are taking some of the out-of-print books from Unique Publications and sort of keeping them alive. However, I will say that something seems to have been lost in the printing process. A lot of the photographs are very faded compared to what I'm used to from the books that came out from Unique Publications. You can even in some pages of the book see a very distinct black line going down near the edge of the spine. So somebody made copies, and the Xeroxing perhaps of those copies is what's been reprinted. So that would explain some of the deterioration in the quality of photos. So if you do look for this, it is out there, but buyer beware when it comes to the newly printed stuff. As far as the prose go, I think that it's a solid intro into the weapons and ideas that are found in Hyuk Suh. Again, the founder of Hyuk Suh is one of the co-authors of this book. And even beyond that, if you are a fan of sword and staff fighting methods, I think it's interesting that we have forms to compare with other methods of staff and sword fighting from different martial arts. So that's a nice bit. As far as the cons go, as I mentioned, the photographs are kind of bleached out a little bit. So I would encourage you guys to find an original copy that was printed by Unique Publications in 1988 as opposed to these modern copies. Also, as I mentioned, there are some claims that they make about the historical aspects of Korean history and the history of the martial arts in Korea that I haven't fact-checked, but I am a little skeptical about. You know, there was that mention that only in Korea were Buddhists allowed to be armed. Like, I know that that's not true, you know, based on other sources I have. So I do wonder how many other claims that are made in this book would not be true if we looked into them. As far as recommendations go, as I mentioned, if you have an interest in sword or staff fighting, I think that the forms that are presented here could provide one with a way to compare those to other sword or staff forms in, for instance, Chinese and Japanese martial arts. I think if you practice Hyuk Suh, this is probably a valuable item to have because, again, the founder wrote it, and this probably carries with it a lot of his ideas. Anyway, that's all I have for this week. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you like content like this, I put out videos every Friday. Many of them are book reviews. Some of them are longer discussions about various martial arts topics. So you can subscribe if you like it. If there's something in this you think I've overlooked or that I need to know about, please leave a comment in the comment section. And I read them all. I don't always have time to respond to them all, but if you leave something there, I will take a look at it. And finally, thank you for following along with me. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys later.